Awesome. So where in Chicago did you grow up?
Just north of Chicago, a little town called Waukegan, Illinois, home of Jack Benny. Ray Bradbury, the author, also born there.
I'm a big fan of him.
Love Ray Bradbury. Oh, his books are just genius. Martian Chronicles, one of my favorite.
Love that. Oh,
Yeah.
Man. You know, I used to read that at least once a year. It's been a couple years since I read it, but I love that.
Yeah, I think I've read that about twice. It's just a genius book.
Awesome. So, how did you get into voice acting, anime voice acting in particular?
Well, I did a show called You're in Town. I'm sure lots of people are familiar with that musical. With a good friend of mine, his name is David Devaney, who is also very good friends with Chris Ayres, the director. I mean, long story short, David introduced me and Chris. Chris kind of sucked me into the circuit with my first role in Nirama Daikon Brothers as the head doctor in episode 3. And I've been hooked ever since. Ever since I've been hooked.
So you love the anime voice acting?
I do. I love it so much. It's unlike anything that I've ever done in acting or in theater or anything. It's been.
So what are the things you like most about it?
The things I like most is kind of discovering who these characters are and bringing something different to the lines. I mean, as if you know anything about the process of voice acting, you have to match the flaps to the dialogue.
The mouth movement.
The mouth movements to the dialogue, and sometimes the translations get in the way. So it's the director's job to find a really good translation that fits, and also something that the actor can relate to. And my challenge is to make it sound believable. That's my favorite part because it's the most challenging.
Fascinating. That's really cool. So you mentioned you were on stage with David and you knew Chris, and so would you like to talk a little bit about your stage work?
Some stage work that I've done. I played Hope Cladwell in You're in Town. I've played April in Company. Wonderful show. I've done a couple of chorus roles. If anybody's familiar with The Pillow Man by Martin McDonough, I played the little Jesus in that one, and that was a scary role. It was a very scary role. It was really cool to kind of affect audiences in a very shuddering way.
So do you find that it's really interesting to explore that kind of scary side?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I'd never done anything so introverted and so serious and so dark. And that was a really great change from a lot of musicals that I normally do. I'd love to explore a character like that again in the future.
So like the villains?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did a production of Sugoicon for a charity called Kids for Kids that they all their proceeds went to the National Diabetes Research Foundation for type 1 diabetes. And I played Maisie LeBird, and for so long that character, she's a very sensual character, lots of fun, sings a lot of really great salsa numbers, and for so long I tried to make her a likable character, and it didn't hit me until about 2 weeks after the show closed. I was the villain the whole time. And because it's such an upbeat show and geared towards, a younger audience, I tried to make her likable. But she's not supposed to be likable. And so I wish I would have figured that out a little sooner to be able to develop the villain a little bit more in depth.
That's really cool. So I heard that you were the music director of the Houston premiere of Reefer Madness. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the Houston premiere of Reefer Madness was done. It was a Cash Carpenter production. I worked very closely with a man named John Cash Carpenter, one of the most fantastic technical directors I've ever worked with. He's currently working out of North Harris College in the Lone Star system in North Houston. We did Reefer Madness. It was the Houston premiere. He put thousands of dollars from his own pocket, and we took it to competition. Because it was a last-minute decision to do the show, he couldn't find a music director. So he said, "Hey, Sophia, you've studied music. You've gone to school for this. Would you like to be my music director?" That was my first shot at music directing, well, anything. And it was so much fun. I got to study one of my favorite musicals of all time, and on top of that, he had doubled me up as the lead as well. Her name is Mary Lane.
Mary Lane.
Yeah, yeah, she was a lot of fun, and so it was kind of two birds with one stone in that production, and I got to work with a lot of really wonderful friends. Music directing was unlike anything I had ever pursued, and I think that's kind of where I'm headed in the theater industry.
Music director. So you just mentioned that you had gone to school for this. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, what is now considered what is now called the Lone Star District in North Houston is a system of colleges, community colleges. I started as a music major. I did piano and voice major with a violin minor, which basically means I took private lessons for all three instruments. And the wonderful thing about that is all of the directors at Montgomery College all graduated from Eastman Conservatory. It's a music conservatory where that's all they do, eat, breathe, sleep music 12 hours a day. And so because of their level of intensity in their passion for the classes that they taught, I really feel like I got a better education there at a community college than I would have had I gone to University of Houston, University of Texas, or Texas University. So I'm very, very fortunate to have been around such passionate people. I got a fantastic theory education. It was about my last semester there, second semester as a sophomore, that I got bit by the theater bug. I was cast in an original production written by Rebecca Basham called Words Between. I was cast as a character named Sally, and I was hooked. Right after that, I did my first musical company, Stephen Sondheim. I played April, and I decided to change my major. That was the turning point for me. I decided to change my major to theater. So I transferred to the sister campus, the North Harris campus, and they focus mostly on theater. I had mentioned John Cash Carpenter. He works out of that campus. Again, I'll reiterate. Amazing technical director, best technical director I've ever worked with, and that's where I've had opportunities to do shows like The Pillow Man, Urinetown, Reefer Madness. He taught a fantastic Libby Apple stage movement course, which I took, and that was a trip. And so that's basically a little bit about my education. I'm currently at Sam Houston State University. Pursuing my last 2 years in musical theater with a music emphasis, and I'm doing a lot of accompanying right now, a lot of music directing for individual scenes for different classes, and just kind of polishing my skills.
Fantastic. So, back to anime. You've worked on a number of titles. Could you tell us a couple of your titles you've worked on?
Yeah, I've already mentioned Narama Daikon. I played the head doctor in episode 3, and some miscellaneous characters in episodes 1 and 2, and some things in the later episodes. I really enjoyed that. After that, I did Coyote Ragtime as April. She was a lot of fun. She kicks butt.
You play a lot of April.
I do.
That's my middle name.
I do. That's my best friend's name.
It's all connected.
Yes. And then after that, I was introduced to Utawari Rumono, and that I played Tuka. She is a samurai warrior, and I think her and April are my two top characters because they're hardcore, they're warriors. You don't mess with them. You just don't.
So is that like you? You don't mess with Sofia?
Okay, yeah. I mean, you could try. Don't know how far you'll get.
All right. So, what were your thoughts when you started kind of a weird show like Narima Daikon Brothers?
I didn't really understand it, but thank goodness I was working with Chris Ayers. He directed that, and he really helped me understand, the joy of recording a show like Narima Daikon. The comedy in it is just raw. I mean, it's all phallic jokes. That's what it is. He had to explain to me what a daikon was and what it meant what it meant in Japanese society, as far as a slang term. And of course,
big root.
Yes, the big male root. And of course, after he explains this to me, everything just kind of falls into place, and it was so fun and funny, and just all the jokes that we would make behind the scenes, all the bomb tracks that we would record just to kind of for shock value, and it was a lot of fun. My friend David Devaney plays a butt plug in that episode. So
It's pretty awesome. So since this is your first con, obviously you've seen the fandom here, the fans. What do you think?
I was a little shocked. People are asking me for my autograph. I never thought that would ever happen. And I'm eating it up with a spoon. I love it. But of course, you got to keep things in perspective. You be humble and be good. Be good to the fans. The fans are really why you're here. The fans are, kind of exactly what fuels this industry. And so I'm overjoyed to sign autographs. People have brought me DVD covers of Coyote Ragtime, of Nerima Daikon, of Utaware, and I'm overjoyed to sign it for them. I want to write them a little message, and I'm overjoyed.
That's wonderful. So this is Saturday. Last night was Friday. Or yesterday all day actually was Friday. Last night was especially Friday. You took part in the Voices for concert, I understand. Did you like that?
I did. It was Halloween. It was Halloween, so we all got to dress up in awesome costumes, and including me in the concert was somewhat of a hey, you want to do this? Heck yeah, I want to do it. Get to sing with the live band. Yes. I got to sing songs. I got to take the lead on For What It's Worth. I got to take the lead on Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, and that was a blast. It's the first time I'd ever sang with a live band at a live concert. So, karaoke tracks, they only give you so much experience. It was so much fun, and the fans were right there in the front row. I think at one point I pulled a fan up on stage and gave her the microphone, and she was just so overjoyed to be on stage with the Voices 4 band, and everybody's been so wonderful and making me feel welcome, to perform with them, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of something that's bigger than me, that's bigger than the band, it's bigger than the fans, it's bigger than anime, because you're giving so much back to those in need. I think I've mentioned before, we're saving lives. That's a big deal, and I'm very honored to be a part of that.
I think it's awesome that you're a part of this. So speaking of such, you took part in the Voices for Tolerance album project. Would you like to talk a little bit about what you did on that? Sure.
I did some backup vocals for Voices for Tolerance in about 3 different numbers, and the recording process was very new to me. I had never recorded anything for an album before. With all the recording that I've done for anime and for Voices 4, it's all so fresh. It's all so new. I can't wait to get my hands on more projects like that. The Voices 4 recording session was very interesting in that it wasn't actually recorded in a studio.
Of sorts it was. The Studio 6.
The Studio 6
motel.
and it was, but it worked, and it was successful, and listening to the end product, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we recorded that in a bathroom.
It gives it a unique sound that it really is our sound.
It's different. It's different, and it's unique, and it's effective. It's so effective, and it's successful. And I was amazed at the quality of the mixing and the sound design, and it all came from a hotel bathroom, and I'm very proud to say I was in there with the headphones, singing into a microphone, towels draped all around me to catch the sound, and then of course 5 minutes later somebody'd be knocking on the door, I gotta pee. And so that was I got a feeling that's going to be an ongoing joke with everybody.
I think it's pretty awesome. So are you going to continue to work in the anime industry and go to these conventions?
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I can only hope that I continue in this industry. If you talk to voice actor Greg Ayers, he'll talk a lot about piracy, and it's really becoming a really big downfall of the industry, especially in the United States. So work has been very far and few between lately, but everybody's got their fingers crossed that things will pick up, and things are getting better. They've got to get worse before they got to get better. So I have my fingers crossed that things will pick up, and then of course the parts will come right back.